Hi there, my name's Greg, and if you clicked on this video, you likely have the same problem that I do, undiagnosed autism. And recently, you also found out that WATA is making the full brand switch to PSA, which means you now have to decide if you want to spend hundreds of dollars recasing all of your games. Well, don't worry, my slightly particular friends, because I'm here to help you through these tumultuous times.
When you're in need, there's a Greg in need.
So say thank you to every single patron who helps support the channel, as well as the YouTube members. I can't do this without you guys. Hit the like button, and let's talk about what this means for your collection should you recase everything you own. As it stands, when PSA Games fully launches next month, it's going to be $20 each to recase your WATA into PSA. So should you immediately recase everything? Should you wait? Should you just sell everything off? I don't know how upset some of you guys are about this change. There's a lot of visceral reaction out there right now. Maybe you just want to sell it all and clean slate. Just let me start this whole video here by prefacing that you don't have to do anything. It might feel like you have to, maybe it seems like you have to recase or whatever, keep up, do something. Like, you don't have to do anything. All of your WATA games inside of their WATA cases are the same exact games that they were last week before this announcement. If you want to, you can leave them the exact same way you can leave them in their cases from now until the day you die. I still personally have lots of WATA 1.0s in my collection that I simply didn't want to spend the money to recase. It's not worth it, right? Do I love the WATA 1.0 case? Not really. Am I going to spend the money to recase it? It doesn't really matter enough. So do understand that you don't have to do anything, even with this change. So with that out of the way, will I personally be recasing my collection from WATA to PSA? As it stands, I did a quick count of all the WATA games that I have here in my house. It's at least 150 here with me right now, and there's probably over 200. It might be closer to 300 if I include everything I own. That puts me at recasing fees of $4,000 to $6,000 alone just in the $20 fee. Then you add in shipping. I'm in Canada, so international shipping, and what? I might be looking at $8,000 US all said and done just to get my games inside of the new cases, to get the new labels. If it's not already abundantly clear, no, I will not be recasing all of my games anytime soon. I have no interest in spending that kind of money just to change the aesthetic of the casing. Will it be annoying to have WATA, PSA, mix and match in my collection? Yes, it absolutely will. Some of you are probably aware that I hardly ever grade with VGA anymore. I think I sent my last big submission of stuff to them in 2020 or 2021. You can watch the old unboxing video if you want. It's actually pretty fun. Hopefully, I look bigger now than I did back then. No, you have body dysmorphia. But the point is, even with me never really submitting to VGA anymore, my collection still has probably 50 to 100 VGA games in it. And maybe I'll get around to crossing them at some point. For a lot of stuff, like I said, they are still the exact same games inside of the VGA cases. So it doesn't really matter if I cross them now, later, whatever it is. I know having a collection without full continuity across everything is going to drive some of you guys nuts, but please just try to relax, take it easy, and take solace that there is no immediate rush to do this. Given some of the reactions I've seen to the label or the change that's happening here with WATA and PSA, it seems like some of you guys are way too invested in the company itself versus the games that are inside of the company case. But I get it. Companies matter, perceptions matter, money matters. I understand. So with that said, what happens from here with actual WATA casing, PSA? What happens to the market? What happens to the value of our games? And I do have some takes here that you may or may not agree with, so please let me know down below here, what do you think happens to the value of WATA graded video games right now in the immediate future and maybe 3 to 5 years from now? How is this hobby going to change and evolve? What's going to happen to PSA versus WATA? What changes do you think is going to happen in the values? Let me know down below. Starting from a very broad view, overall, I absolutely do expect the swap to PSA to grow hobby expansion, more people coming in, more people are going to collect sealed graded video games. The PSA brand has so many people within its ecosystem, dealers, collectors, whatever. There are a ton of people out there who only transact, only deal with PSA as a company. It's going to be easier for PSA themselves to advertise video games, to take the PSA games to convention and have them alongside comics, alongside trading cards. In general, more eyes are going to be on everything in this space. And you see it right now too. Look at all the activity happening. Positive, negative, whatever it is. There are more people chatting about graded video games right now. I don't even know the last time. Maybe all the way back in COVID, right? People are talking about this hobby. So with all that said, in the immediate future here, let's say 1 to 2 months after launch, I don't expect there to be much price discrepancy at all between WATA WATA graded games and PSA graded games. Always remember that any WATA graded game is a $20 fee plus shipping away from being a PSA graded game. So if any PSA graded games here right after launch start going up, they're selling for crazy amounts, the WATA graded games have to go up as well, or else it creates too much of an arbitrage opportunity. People will just take all of the WATA graded games, pay the $20 or whatever, and sell them as PSA graded games. And I don't think the market is that stupid to let that happen. Surely everyone will understand the WATA and the PSA are the exact same grade. Though, with that said, I do think there is going to be some immediate opportunity to get some insane PSA sales that may not be replicable. Kind of your first to market hype, right? But I think this is going to be exclusive to your Pokemons, your Marios, your Halos, and any other major franchise. Zeldas, if you want to throw them in there. Like the major popular stuff is where I think we're going to see some immediate price action. WATA 10 being swapped to PSA, I absolutely expect some of those first PSA 10 games, now that they're getting the special gold label, I absolutely expect those games to be more liquid and sell stronger now than they did before the label swap existed. Basically, all 10s are probably going to become more expensive. Having the special label, having something all gold special, it makes a difference. Whether it's stupid, whether it's not, it makes a difference in these hobbies. I've already had people in the Discord and the YouTube comments telling me that they've been buying up some WATA graded Pokemon games in anticipation of this swap. Or when the news dropped, right? They immediately went to eBay and started buying some stuff. Pokemon will very likely be the first to move. Again, with PSA, you get all the TCG collectors. We might have to track Pokemon as a completely separate thing from overall video game collecting. But of course, like I said, they can only jump so high. If they jump super high, everyone will just cross WATA to PSA and the prices will come back down. Or prices will forever go back up and they'll never come back down. But you know what I mean. The WATA games have to kind of pace with the PSA games. They can't just run away. And of course, this all assumes that immediately people are going to want PSA more than WATA. This assumes that the PSA launch, like people are waiting for it to jump in. It may take some time to ramp up. It's in the next 6 to 12 months from here that I think it gets a lot more interesting. As PSA grades way more games, as PSA games gets out there, more people have them in their own collections, that's when I assume we're going to start seeing PSA games regularly outselling the WATA counterparts. Which will mean for reselling that, yeah, you will have to cross your WATA game, or you probably will want to cross your WATA game over to PSA before you take it to market. Even though it is simple enough to send your game back, get it relabeled, all that stuff, if new people come into this hobby, if it does expand like I think it's going to, there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of money who they don't want to deal with doing that themselves. They don't care. Okay, great. It's $50 in 2 months to recase. They don't want to do that. People are going to pay a $100, $200 premium to not deal with that BS. I promise you. Especially at the point where there's probably the PSA equivalent on the market already. So you can just go buy the PSA one and not deal with any of the BS. And I'm talking like it's super easy to ship it off, get it recased and that stuff, but there is always risk carried with that. Shipping it, recasing it, getting it shipped back to you. Inevitably, through this whole change here, we're gonna see horror stories of people's stuff getting destroyed. Games are gonna get damaged, destroyed, whatever it is, in the shipping, in the mail, whatever. Games are gonna get destroyed during this. There is an inherent risk in the process. I know, right? We talk as if you just put it in a teleporter and then it arrives back to you. Especially for me being international, I have to keep crossing customs back and forth. It's risky. It's risky business. Once more PSA hits the market, of course people aren't gonna want to deal with that recasing. And I do want to talk about the WATA 1.0 again here, because people might look at it and say, well, Greg, people still pay the same exact amount for the 1.0s as the 2.0s, so why would there ever be a price discrepancy? And if you've been hanging around this hobby for long enough, if you've been paying attention, there's a reason people pay just as much for these, if not more in some cases. In a very general blanket statement, WATA grading was harder back then during V1.0 than it is now in version 2.0. Again, very general blanket statement. You can find examples of badly graded games, overgraded games, whatever it is. But blanket statement, harder grading turned into easier grading. Therefore, you have people buying or speculating on the 1.0s just to smash them out, just because they can regrade it, and they might even get a higher grade on it. I have a full video talking about the statistics. If you like numbers, if you want to see how it changes from old WATA to new WATA, there's a full video talking about the grading standards of WATA games. So what I'm saying is that different casing can carry different perceptions about different grading standards. Whether or not that's always accurate doesn't really matter. Once the perception, the narrative is in the air, people are going to stick to it. If in 3 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever it is, if PSA grading changes the way in which they grade stuff again, it's always a sliding scale. We know this. Times are harder, times are looser. It is what it is. If PSA decides that in 3 years, 5 years from now, it's impossible to get a PSA 10 again. Remember the old days of WATA? It was impossible to get a 10 grade. If PSA makes that shift to where the 10 is impossible again, all of a sudden the WATA 2.0s or current WATA graded games are going to be seen as lesser. Easy grades, too loose, right? Why would I want to buy that when I can buy a new PSA game where the grading standard, that's the real grading standards. We already see this in PSA graded cards where the older cert numbers, older cards graded 10 years ago are treated worse. People don't want them. People see them as worse grades. In a lot of cases, the cards inside do have more damage. The standards, the scale, has shifted in a harder direction over years. But that point remains where the older certs are less desirable. It's fully possible that in the future, the WATA 2.0s will be seen as less desirable. The opposite could also be true, but this is a risk, I guess, of the current change or in changing so dramatically. And yes, in that case, you could just reswap your WATA to PSA, but if we truly get a ton of eyes and expansion on this hobby, if this hobby continues to grow, people are going to start scrutinizing the cert numbers on the WATA cases. People are going to start matching your certs to when was it graded. Oh no, that's a 2021. Oh geez, I don't want anything to do with 2024 WATA grade. Oh, that's bad. That's when they were super easy. Depending on how many people get into this hobby, that is a very realistic future that we're going to have with this. And if we do get there, at least changing from a WATA to a PSA case will help obfuscate the grading date. A lot of people just buy the case, buy the number, never even look at the item, right? You know how it is in this hobby. But as we get further and further into the future, as more PSA graded games hit the market, as PSA grades more and more games, I don't see why WATA Games in any capacity would remain as relevant as it is right now, or as valuable as it is right now. Maybe I'm overlooking something, maybe I'm just not seeing the vision, but I've seen people make comments like, oh, WATA graded games, keep them in their cases, they're going to be more valuable. I don't see the game plan. I don't see the roadmap for why WATA would become more valuable, more sought after anything than it is right now at this exact moment. In 5 to 10 years, there's going to be a ton of people who don't even know what WATA is. It's just going to be this interesting anecdote in the history of game collecting. Oh, WATA Games. Yeah, I think I heard about them that one time. Were they doing some kind of scam? That's genuinely going to be what a lot of people say. They're not going to have any idea what WATA even is. So please, if I'm missing something about why WATA is going to continue to grow, let me know. I would love to hear it. That'd be awesome. Right now, I won't do anything, but I greatly assume that if I want to maximize the value of my collection, if I want it to stay up to date with everything taking place, I will have to recase to PSA eventually. But like I said at the start, if none of that means anything to you, if you don't care about resale value, if you just like your collection, sit back and relax and watch how all this plays out. You don't have to do anything. The collection that you have, that I have, all of our games that we own right now are the exact same as they were prior to the announcement. And that's the truth. Like and subscribe for more game collecting content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.